This is SoulCharge, the podcast for women leaders to take the highest level of ownership of their power to create results now. I'm your host, Stacy B. Let's dive in. Today's episode on SoulCharge with your beloved host, Stacy B, is a SoulCharge power-up tip. Today's tip is built to activate your power, but more than anything, to show you where some of your power might be trapped. So, first of all, what I want you to know is that your power is not outside of you. We've been taught that it's not true. It's a lie. It's an illusion. Your power is inside of you. It's just that you don't have an owner's manual. This is step one in your owner's manual to identify where some energy may be trapped. Today's tool is going to help you in more ways than one, right? My intention with the tools that I give you are that they're universal. They're not just for one area, they're for all areas. Power is not selective, right? We want it to be self-generating. That is really what SoulCharge is, right? It is a self-renewing leadership system. It is a self-renewing power system and giving you the tools and the operating manual to run your own power system because you haven't had that before. So when we think about this first tool, I'm going to give you an example and then explain the tool and then kind of play with it with you today so that you can get some other ideas and how to apply it. So the example or case study is you have a decision that you want to make for the company and you are looking at finances considering the decision, you're looking at team considering the decision, you're looking at your vision, you're looking at the budget, you're looking at the quarterly rocks, you're looking at all of your factors. And you have an intuitive knowing of what you really want to do that doesn't necessarily align with the plan that you have built out. This can cause some resistance inside of you, right? Everything that you've planned or everything that everyone else wants you to do is rubbing up against an edge that your intuition is actually showing you a shortcut to in this example. That's what a lot of the women leaders experience, by the way, that I work with is they've set the course, they've set the map of how to achieve their buried treasure, but somewhere along the way, they get guidance that looks like a sharp right turn. And that means hard conversations, that means going off course, or it means blowing up the whole thing. But in this example, there becomes this friction between your knowing and what you have essentially set up for everyone to expect from you within the business. And so in this example, the tool is the resistance remover. And so here's the tool. You first feel the resistance and you want to justify it. You want to name it. You want to go get advice about it. You want to talk about it with your girlfriends and maybe you want to talk about it with your coach. But what I want you to do is actually bring yourself back to the truth or the facts. So what are the facts of this situation? And you would write down what those facts are. You would write down what the truth is. Because what's so interesting about resistance is that resistance forms between your knowing and expectations. And I know I'm giving you this, pretend example, but this happens a lot where resistance starts to form, and instead of addressing what needs to happen or addressing a hard conversation, we shrink. And that is what trips up our power a lot of times as women. And so these tools that I'm giving you are subtle in design, but so powerful to get the circuit moving. So when you feel that friction or that resistance between your knowing and what's expected, that's where I want you to come back to the truth. I want you to come back to the facts. So in this situation, the facts could be, this is the budget, this is the vision, this is the course that I have charted to achieve what I want with the business. Facts. Truth is, this is the internal nudge, guidance, or intuitive knowing that's being revealed or shown to me as I lead this mission that is the business. When you see these things on paper, what's super interesting is almost 10 out of 10 times, there is a through line. There is a through line between the course that you've charted and your intuition, and a lot of times a shortcut or a way in which you're seeing something. This is why you're the visionary. This is why you've been chosen to be the leader in your life, is because you see things that other people don't see. And so the tool here is, can you see and speak the truth? Seeing and speaking the truth in this example is to go to your leadership team, acknowledge the course that you've charted, acknowledge how you're moving forward, and explain this shortcut or this vision or whatever you're being guided to pursue, so that there is an understanding and you are giving voice to your power. Your power as a women leader is you see things other people don't see, and you've been taught that that's weird, wrong, different, and so you have suppressed. Oftentimes, you know what you want. More times than not, let's be honest. But you don't want to show them who you really are or how clear it really is, because it's too much, it's too big, it's too expensive, it's too colorful, it's too off the wall, it's too finish the sentence. And so this resistance creates, right? And so this resistance remover, boiled down to this simple tool today, is really looking at things in yourself when you feel yourself shut down, when you feel yourself up against the wall, when you feel yourself hitting an edge, when you feel that. The invitation is to actually give yourself the gift of seeing to free yourself. We are taught to seek that in others, right? We want to be seen by our spouses or seen by this person, or we want to be seen and heard, but we're missing the boat by doing that for ourselves. So resistance forms, and that blocks our power. Our power to create, our power to be resourceful, our power to lead, our power to regenerate this beautiful self-renewing power that we have as women. And so boiling it back down, you can see how much I like to go big picture with this. Boiling it down is this. Can you let yourself see the truth of what's going on in you and watch the resistance dissipate? I want to give you another example. A few years ago, I went through a shift and really started, and the shift was I was on some medication. I got off the medication and needed to take some naps, just 10 minutes. So I would put on this meditation and I would, around 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just take a 10 or 15 minute nap, hit REM, and then it was like I was waking up to a whole new day. And even though I was listening to my body, to be completely honest, there was a part of me that was making myself wrong for needing that rest, for needing that break, because my programming says, keep going, keep pushing, do more, And so there became this resistance to something so simple as I like to take naps. I like to rest. When I do that, it fuels me and allows me to have this, it allows me to generate that next burst of power. But I was making myself wrong for it. And even that resistance caused a little bit of resistance in me so that even though I was taking the steps to go and take the rest, I wasn't getting the benefits of that short rest because I was making myself wrong in the process. And so resistance is super sneaky in this way because it shows up in all of these ways in the business, working with clients, doing things we don't really want to do, maintaining relationships and friendships that don't actually fulfill us or don't actually align with our goals. These little things that we allow cause just a tiny bit of resistance. Here's the kicker. As women, we have been taught that when the resistance comes, we shrink. And that's what I want you to stop doing. When the resistance comes, I want you to meet it and I want you to transmute it and see how your power then regenerates itself forward. That's the difference. This tool can be applied towards anything. And what I want you to think about is resistance can often be interpreted as like a block, right? If we use the image again of this oval, that's your power. It's your power circuit. And if there's resistance, maybe at 2 places in the oval, resistance can be, interpreted like, oh, I have to go around it. I have to, jump over it. I actually want you to go through it because part of what we've been told and taught as women is we shapeshift around the resistance. We compromise. We don't have that, confronting conversation because we don't want to have hard conversations. And so all of a sudden, the resistance that was just a simple, I'm making myself wrong for taking a nap, turns into this boulder blocking your power. That's the part that we want to end, is nipping the resistance, seeing it for what it is when it's coming up. Because when you do that, it can transmute into more energy. And then that more energy can go to, what are you manifesting? What are you creating? Instead of you avoiding situations and conversations, it turns into power. That is what this all is about. So see what is, see the resistance, see the friction, and speak the truth about it, and watch that turn into more power.
Are you loving SoulCharge? If so, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share an episode. We want to bring powerful content to women leaders each week so that women can be unleashed to create the results that they want now. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.